Hey button pushers, my name is Nick and welcome back to the life and suffering of Sir Brante. And we are going to be a real scumbag. We've partaken in some scumbaggery in the past, but this is probably going to be a whole new level. So the plan for today, we are going to jump back to the start of peacetime and become best friends with Felipe. So everything Felipe wants, he's going to get. Spy network, all we care about. Unrest, no, not having it. And eventually we're going to get to the point where we are released from his burden because he loves us so much, and we spark the revolt in his name. Which means we're almost certainly going to end up in the revolt on the side of the Empire. And hopefully if I get the Empire to win, I may get the For the Empire achievement. I'm not sure. But there's definitely 2 achievements I'm going to get out of this. If we're lucky we'll get a third, if not, that's fine. So let's go sell our soul to the devil, shall we? Homecoming. Chat with Nathan, standard practice. Keep everything neutral, or as neutral as possible. And also, it's nice to show Nathan a little bit of love every now and then. The sweet boy that he is. First steps. So when it comes to setting up the print shop, or the secret operation for the print shop, we're going to hire spies, moles, and crooks. You look for people who are willing to get their hands dirty without asking too many questions. Felipe should like this. I hope. If there's one thing the Capital and the Lotless have taught you, it's how to find the right sort of people. People who are willing to get their hands dirty. People who are ready to spy, follow, intimidate, steal, and break into other people's homes all without asking too many questions. Here in Anazot, there are plenty of people like that, even more than in the capital. There are many reasons for this. Archduke Melanidas and Overseer Gaius Tempest both trying to assert their rule, the Lesecorum struggle against Magistrate El Vermin, the clash between the 2 faiths. It's all served to make the people of this city more desperate than ever. You begin hiring people who make sense to you. These are people who can and will do any job if the price is right. All it takes to earn their loyalty is money. You don't need to entrust them with much information. They ask a few questions and do what they're told. Even if they get caught, they'll never tell anyone anything that might harm you. You know that they will hang on tight to this kind of job. Some have to pay off gambling debts, others owe us small fortunes or loan sharks. Still others need a place to hide from the law. For the promise of coin, they'll do whatever you ask, in and out of the print shop. And for the right price, any single one of them will break the law without a second thought. Good, my little spies. Do my bidding. Reception at the Brante residence, I'm just going to purchase a family portrait again, because why not? A rock and hard place, we will call on Nathan, he can sort out the bickering between Stefan and Gloria, because I can't be bothered. And is less harmful to the family if he does it. So despite me upping the spy network, Felipe's obviously not happy because he's not yet ready to admit his love for me. And that's okay, I understand. So he's come along and he's not happy with the level of people we've been recruiting, so Sophia's argued with him and said, well, no, we're doing the best we can, but he wants better. So I am going to agree with Felipe. So up spy network, up willpower, up with Felipe, and down with Sophia. Yeah, Sophia's not going to like me by the end of this, but I'm going to have to learn to live with that. You're ready to carry out Felipe's order and carefully vet everyone who wants to join the underground. You readily answer that you will follow Sir Felipe's orders. It's dangerous and stupid to recruit strangers without any vetting. You'll make every effort to select only skilled and reliable conspirators. You and Sophia made a mistake, but you will fix it. Sophia scoffs at that. Sir El Ferro, however, pats you on the shoulder. Ah, well said, Brante. We'll do just that. As for you, Sophia, I don't suggest testing my patience any further. You're one straw away from breaking the horse's back. Speaking of straws, I believe your secret society still needs a name, right? The last straw will do just fine. It's cheap, grim, pompous, and the lowborn ought to like it. Oliver, I am leaving you in the care of our rebels. Show them how real secret chancellery agents get things done. Felipe downs the last of his flask and walks out of the print shop. Sophia follows him without saying a word. You're left alone with Oliver. He looks you over. We're gonna get along just fine, Brante. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, Oliver, because me and you want the same thing, buddy. We want to please our master, Sir Felipe. Well, heart's on fire. Me and Sophia have gone to the Poetry Society, and she suggested that maybe we could use these poets, but instead I'm going to report the poets to Father. So that is going to knock my unrest down, spy network goes up, reputation goes up, and Sophia goes down. I wonder if I'm going to get negatively impacted if unrest gets too low. Because obviously the whole point of me being here is to stoke the flames of rebellion just enough. But, don't know. We're going to find out, because I'm going to drive that into the ground. The prefecture will take care of these rebels-to-be. No matter how gifted they may be, the risk is not worth it, you assure Sophia. Your organisation needs more people who are easier to control. As for these young men and women, Felipe can find a use for them. I guess that makes sense. You can write the report then. In your report to Felipe, you describe the meeting in detail and conclude that these overly creative commoners could destabilise your well-laid plans for the future. You need them gone. You suggest tipping off the prefecture and letting the gendarmes handle the rebellious youths. In the postscript, you kindly ask Sir Felipe El Ferro to get the prefects to assign your father to this case. A week later, the gendarmes storm the Poetry Society in the middle of a meeting. Every last poet leaves the building in chains, accused of inciting rebellion. At home, Father remains quiet about his job. However, one day you manage to overhear him speaking with Mother. You look unwell. Is something wrong at work? Yes, I was assigned a case I could not refuse. A number of young men and women have been accused of inciting rebellion. Other judges would love this case. You send those people to their doom and make yourself a good career out of it. But I know so many of them. They're just children. They were little boys and girls only yesterday, and many of them are good friends of Gloria's. Now I have to ruin their lives forever. The best I can do for them is a lighter sentence, and I'll get a promotion for this travesty. Can you imagine? Those poor kids are just pawns in someone else's game, and I'm part of it. It sickens me. Oh, Robert. But Father's pain is nothing compared to Gloria's agony. She stays in her room for days, stricken with grief. You receive a note from Felipe a week later. Excellent job. That was a perfect demonstration of our efficiency. Now those gifted youths will fulfill their lowly lot in the far reaches of Magra, digging ditches in exile. At the very least, Anazot will be safer with them gone. I spoke with a few of the poets in person and convinced them to work with us. Their exile will end much sooner. When they get back, feel free to use them as informers. Keep up the good work, and keep the reports coming. I've been recording 12 minutes, and I feel dirty. A gift for the family, I'm going to sell the jewels, as once again it's the only decision I can possibly make. So, -1 unity, +2 wealth. Which is meh. Concerned citizen. This is my meeting with Mayor Egmont about joining forces and creating a little secret plot to stoke rebellion further down the line. However, this time I'm going to report the conversation because I cannot have any secret alliances. You write Felipe a detailed report on the conversation with Egmont, and that puts Mayor Egmont in jeopardy, and puts me on 3 with Felipe. You write up a detailed report on Mayor Egmont's plan, noting in particular that the industrialist seeks to solicit the support of Overseer Gaius Tempest, and take advantage of the revolt to put the Lesser Quorum in charge of Anazot. Felipe's response reaches you before the end of the day. Excellent job, Brante. Continue playing the part, and keep reporting on Egmont's connections to the last straw. Identify other members of the Lesser Quorum who have sided with Egmont. Find me evidence that they are involved in this conspiracy. Just how many people in this city actually support Egmont's goals? And how many potential rebels will you have to identify, blackmail, and recruit until Felipe finally leaves Anazot in peace? Well, in a monologue of Sir Brante, he's never leaving. He is forever going to be there. Unfortunately. An old friend, with the return of Thomas, I'm going to walk away. I'm trying something with reputation here, so at the moment my reputation's at 5. I'm wondering, because one of the things I need to do is to wangle my way into a release because of my family's standing. For that, they need to be a noble, so I'm just having a little play around on this run through about how I can get reputation up. So for now, we're going to walk away. It would have been nice to have the willpower, but I would rather not have the hit in reputation. The Gunpowder Plot. Sophia knows where there's a stash of gunpowder hidden away and she wants to steal it, and she wants my help stealing it. So instead of helping her, I'm going to report it to Felipe, because of course I am. You decide to quietly tell Felipe about the gunpowder. Sophia does not have to know. So, +1 for Spy Network, +1 for Felipe. Oh, I'm going to max out my relation with Felipe, which is just hideous. You assure Sophia that you will take care of it. Okay, Brante, try to be quick about it. Once you're alone, you write Felipe an urgent report. Egmont has a secret warehouse full of gunpowder. You scribble quickly. Sophia wants that gunpowder for herself. The response arrives quickly. I'll take care of Mayor Egmont myself. Keep an eye on Sophia. She never mentioned the gunpowder to me. Don't spy on her, just watch out for anything suspicious and keep me informed. If she's plotting something, I want to be the first to know about it. The next day, Sophia arrives at the print shop, distraught and bitter. Oh, we were too late. So much for the powder. Somebody tipped the prefecture off. The gendarmes searched Egmont's mines last night. Oh, I've got no idea what will happen to him now. Maybe he can weasel his way out of it, but the gunpowder's gone. He had to get rid of it. You throw up your hands, looking disappointed. It's alright, you assure Sophia. You can get by without the gunpowder. You just have to believe in yourselves. That's all it takes. Oh no! Somebody tipped off the prefecture! Rascals! Personal interests. So this is brand new, because our spy network has never been this healthy. The Last Straw has succeeded in covering the entire city of Anazot with its spy network. Denunciations come flooding in. New secret arrests are made every day. Stories of people going missing after expressing displeasure with the law become commonplace. The spies surveil everyone, including the most powerful people in the city. But you have no time to enjoy your accomplishments. You try to stop your hands from trembling nervously as you stare at Philippe's notes. This was bound to happen sooner or later. There's a mole in the last drawer. Someone has stolen papers tying your organisation to the secret chancellery from your personal secret compartment in the print shop. Bastards! This is hardly surprising. Information that advisor Felipe El Ferro is in cahoots with the enemies of the Empire would be worth a fortune. Whoever this traitor is, their intention is obviously to sell the papers to the highest bidder. If Felipe goes to prison, you will follow him. You need to choose a course of action at once. You reread the last lines of Philippe's letter one more time. Whoever this bastard is, he's smart. I almost admire him. You're in a better position to evaluate the situation than I am right now. Do as you see fit. I expect you to take action immediately. Felipe rarely allows you to act so freely. He may not have a choice this time. A gruff voice snaps you out of your reverie. You look up and see Oliver Moss. Sir, advisor's waiting, boss. You got an answer for him? So we can buy the compromising materials back, which knocks down wealth, lie low, which knocks down spy network, or track down the traitor. Yes, this is happening. Thank God my scheming's at 16. You will not let anyone make a fool of you. Nobody makes a fool out of Nicholas Brante. So that's going to bump my spy network up to 10 and knock my willpower down to 10. You tell the advisor that the last straw needs several days to get the money together and make the thief an offer. You cannot trust anyone at the moment. If the traitor sees the letter, it should convince them that their plan has worked. The only chance to find the mole is to figure out who the potential buyer is. You doubt that anyone in the last straw knows about Philippe's secret foes, so it's highly probable that the buyer is an open enemy. The person must also be in possession of considerable funds. Augustine Elborn, the prefect of Anazot, the assiduous adversary of the secret chancellery, a man close to Overseer Gaius Tempest himself. It has to be him. You put the prefect under surveillance and almost immediately have a stroke of luck. Early one morning, a cloaked man comes to Elborn's mansion. He quickly passes an envelope to a servant, then hastily retreats. You follow the mysterious man down the alleys of the city. The traitor is experienced. Even though he's unaware of the surveillance, he still tries to shake you. You almost lose him twice, first in a marketplace crowd, then in a desolate district. You eventually manage to trail him to a small inn. Feeling safe, he finally lifts his hood. You're not surprised to discover that the mole is Oliver Moss. Well, it's time Felipe knew his trusted agent's true colours. That night, you summon Moss to the print shop. He walks in, softly whistling a melody. How goes it, Nicholas? I was just, He's cut short by echoing footsteps. Felipe leisurely walks out of the adjacent room, accompanied by two gruff-looking men. Oh, I am doing quite well, Oliver. I wish I could say the same for you. You've been in my employ for 10 years now, my friend. Did you really think you could betray me and get away with it? For the first time ever, you see the grin vanish from Oliver's face. You've made a grave error. Where are the papers? I've got them, Sir Philippe. They're hidden in a secure place. I ain't told nobody yet. You are trying my patience. I want that to be the last lie you ever tell me. Do you really think your connection to the prefect is such a big secret? The Baron snaps his fingers. Oliver is restrained by two men. He does not resist. No, please, no, I beg of you, Sir Philippe. I can still be of use to you. I can. I'll take you to the papers at once. I'll give them all back, I swear. Sweat's running down his face. There are tears in his eyes. You never imagined that this man could be capable of experiencing such fear. But let's hope the proper amount of suffering can put you back on the straight and narrow. A powerful blow to the face renders Moss unconscious. You ask what's going to happen to him now. The advisor chuckles at your question. Oh, a couple of days of torture, then a lesser death. Gifted men like Moss always get out of control eventually. But I'm comfortable giving such a useful man a second chance. It would be foolish to squander valuable personnel. He'll be back in 3 days. Keep an eye on him, Brante. I do not believe in third chances. You hear his cane tap on the floor as Sir Philippe leaves the print shop. The goons drag Oliver's body away. Oh my god. Oliver, you rascal. I didn't know you had it in you. The call of the ancestors, I am going to obviously side with Father. I'm getting a little concerned about my willpower as that puts it on 5, but hopefully that'll be alright. The errors of youth with Gustav popping up out of the shadows. I'm going to help him escape the city, which knocks down my wealth a little bit, but gets me willpower and scheming, as I could lure him into a trap, but that knocks down my reputation and I don't want to do that. So we'll help him escape the city, which is what we've done before. So he gets away and nobody finds out about my connection to the Lotless. A little bit of extra scheming never hurt anybody. Trust. This is also brand new, I think. You keep pulling at your collar, but you can't shake the feeling that you're suffocating. An audience with Felipe El Ferro is not something one can ever be prepared for. You've been summoned to a noble mansion not far from Anazot. As far as you know, this is Philippe's private residence. The invitation would seem to indicate a certain level of trust on the advisor's part. What could it mean? A servant shows you to Philippe's study. You see walls of brilliant white, exquisite furniture of dark wood, giant windows decorated with greenery. The Emperor's portrait on the wall is the only thing not in keeping with the general lightness of the room. In answer to your greeting, Philippe gestures to a chair. The advisor seems to be in good spirits. Oh, the heat is unbearable today. A glass of water, Brante? Your throat suddenly feels dry, and you hastily agree. After setting his own empty glass down, the advisor heaves a sigh of satisfaction and speaks in a nonchalant tone. Well, Nikolaus, I hasten to remark that you've made some good progress in serving the Empire. I must admit, I underestimated you. But your deeds have proven your loyalty, so I want to repay you for your service. In our line of work, the only real asset is mutual trust. I know that your mother is a woman of great faith. She taught you piety from a young age, didn't she? You answer with a short nod. Your mother has always been very pious. Philippe rises from his desk. Only now do you notice that on the wall opposite the Emperor's portrait, there hangs a lushly decorated icon of the twins. In a sense, the secret chancellery is not unlike the Inquisition. We defend the blessed Archnean Empire in order to preserve the order bestowed upon us by the twins. If we fail to preserve the gods' design, the world will face their wrath. The foundation of the Empire is the order given to us by the twins' commandments. Any disturbance of that order is a crime, and for every crime, retribution is inevitable. Such is the law of the Younger. Men like you and me are the shield of this world. We are the bonds that hold it together. Philippe stops by the window. His gaze is fixed upon the shining pillar. These rebels who demand boundless freedom are fools, Brante. A man has as much freedom as the twins have chosen to give him. Overstep those bounds and chaos will ensue. We are the true guardians of this world, and we must be free of all doubt. Some may call me cruel, but I'm not afraid to get a little blood on my hands. I know that if we don't destroy the enemies of the Blessed Empire, our entire world will cease to exist. Unfortunately, most of the men who wield power in this world don't truly comprehend this. I need people I can rely on. People like you, Nikolaus. If you continue to serve our cause with the same vigor, I may give you the gift of my patronage. I know how to show my gratitude. The advisor turns around and looks you straight in the eye. You can't help feeling that, for the first time, Felipe is being completely sincere. The suffocating anxiety that plagued you earlier wears off. By suppressing a real revolt in Anazot, I will prove to the Archneans that I am worthy of power. But in order to direct this revolt, I need tools like Sophia, although she can be a difficult tool to use. Believe me, I actually admire the woman at times. No one can stop her from pursuing her goal, but I will never be able to trust Sophia. Her appetite for destruction is too great. A woman like her cannot be saved from herself. Here's what I want to ask of you, Brante. I need you to gain Sophia's trust. She is indispensable right now. We cannot get rid of her, but if she ever decides to betray me, I need to know about it. In return, I promise you freedom and a chance to be one of the defenders of the Empire. Do not try to lie, please. Do you agree? Philippe offers you a hand. Will you shake it? So this is how I get to show my loyalty to Philippe. So this gets my reputation and wealth up. Spy network is already maxed out. Philippe goes up to max relation, and Philippe saw my loyalty. If I refuse, well, I'm surprised that I don't die. So I'm going to agree to Philippe's proposal. Achievement! 1 achievement done. You shake Philippe's hand and swear your loyalty to him. Thank you for trusting me, Brante. I look forward to your reports. Felipe was not lying about offering you his patronage. The trust that has been built between you, though fragile, is beneficial to you both. The advisor has entrusted you with considerable funds that you can use to surveil Last Straw members who are personally loyal to Sophia. Spying on them proves to be difficult. It takes you some time to get the first bits of information. Felipe keeps his word and promptly shows his gratitude. He rewards you with money and puts in a good word for your family with certain nobles, and this is only the down payment for your loyalty. Perfect, so we're definitely on the right track here, which is good. I'm still not going to make a deal with Vermin if that comes up, because I don't need to, and also Vermin's horrible. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. So I can't refuse outright, so I will just evade the question. Ooh. So that puts my reputation on a 7, knocks my willpower down a bit, but that's okay. Ooh, okay, I'm glad I checked this. So to get the Farewell Advisor, Spy Network needs to be above 8, which is fine, because it's at a 10, but Unrest needs to be between 3 and 8, which is quite a big window, so that's good. I'm glad I checked that, because that could have been a problem. Brothers in Misery. I am going to blackmail the judge, which knocks the Spy Network down to 9, but that's fine because it needs to be 8 or above, and I will easily be able to build that back up again, I'm sure. And that bumps me up with Stefan, Nathan, and diplomacy as well. You find a document compromising the judge assigned to this case. He will free your brothers. You assure Stefan that you will get them out of this mess. You just need to put a little pressure on a certain person. You approach the gendarmes and ask them which judge has been assigned to the Brante brothers case. Sir Carlo Folkgraven's got the case, sir. I hear he's a man you can reason with, if you catch my drift. The captain of the gendarmes gives you a knowing wink. You waste no time and go straight to the print shop. You open a secret compartment and rummage through the papers you've collected over the past year. Denunciations, complaints, reports from spies. You find one concerning Carlo Folkgraven. One of the agents got his hands on a letter the judge wrote to a wealthy manufacturer named Mayor Egmont. In it, Folkgraven, not too discreetly, demands a bribe from the industrialist. This is just what you needed. With the letter neatly tucked in your inside pocket, you return to the prefecture. You spot Folkgraven's bulky figure in the hallway right away. Well, well, another Brante, is it? Have you come to plead for your brothers? They've certainly gotten themselves in a bit of a pickle, and to think that their father's an officer of the prefecture. I don't even know how I could help you. You reply by showing Folkgraven his own letter in which he demands a bribe. Then you ask Folkgraven if he has thought of any ways to help the Brante brothers. The judge raised his eyebrows. I see you aren't quite as simple as one might think. So be it. Your brothers haven't broken the law. A commoner, a heretic no less, dared to assault a poor nobleman and grab his arm. There's no reason for Stefan and Nathan Brante to be kept in custody. Can I have that letter now? You grin and hand the letter to the portly judge. He's already giving orders to the gendarmes. Stefan recovers his confiscated sword, and Nathan is let out of his cell. I knew I could count on you, Niklaus. Even though you haven't become a nobleman yourself, you still haven't forgotten our family's honour. The older brother takes the younger by the scruff of his neck and pulls him to the door. Nathan staggers and shuffles along limply. Back home, Stefan starts lecturing Nathan. From now on, there will be no more drinking bouts or other nocturnal exploits. Who are those rogues you befriended anyway? Stop shaming this family. You're so worthless. At least let others go about their business in peace. Do you understand, you blockhead? Nathan remains silent, staring despondently somewhere above him. You manage to conceal the disgraceful occurrence. The city will not find out about the Bronte's shame. At the same time, there appears to be a reason why Folkgraven was so easily persuaded to make a deal. The fate of the Brante brothers was of little concern to him, but the fact that someone has access to his personal correspondence certainly piqued his interest. Now the corrupt judge is aware that the numerous spies in Anazot are linked to you. To prevent your entire network from being discovered, you will have to tread even more lightly than before. Meh, it's fine. I'm still on a 9, that's still very good. Freedom of speech. Father Mark has come to pay the print shop a visit and he wants us to print a book of his teachings. So I am going to print the book in secret because that ups my unrest to 4, which is good because that needs to be between 3 and 8. And it doesn't harm my spy network, so marvellous. Yes, Father Mark, we will print your book of hate. Blast Wave. Felipe sent us a letter telling us there's going to be a march on Remy L. Verman's estate by Mayor Egmont and the common folk. Just so happens that Stefan's going to be at a party at the mansion at the time it happens, so we're in a bit of a tight spot. So I'm going to do what I did on my original playthrough of this and alert El Verman. So I will go there the night before, warn him what's going to happen so he can prepare and kind of stop it in its tracks. It's going to knock unrest down to 3, which is okay, but it gets my unity and reputation up, which is great. So yeah, so currently I have everything I need to be ennobled, which is interesting. I did not think that was going to be possible. Certainly not this playthrough. So that's worked out quite nicely. But for now, at the Festival of the Silver Tree, I will appeal to Mother to get Gloria to calm her britches, and that is going to put unity up at 10, which is good, which means that's probably going to trigger a day of respite, which I think I get willpower out of, which is nice. Sorry, a moment of respite, not a day of respite. Nice. So I got a whole 10 willpower out of that. Delightful. An invitation to dinner with the sit-down meeting between Mayor Egmont and Augustine L. Bourne. I am going to invite Sophia to dinner so she can get in between the two of them and get them to actually come together to some sort of agreement, because that puts our unrest back up at 4 and gets us +5 willpower. And that puts me back on a 4 with Sophia as well, which is not a bad thing. The illegitimate girl, I am going to refuse to help Gloria, because if I'm going to go down the ennoblement route, I need her to not be a Brante. I know we're not going for ennoblement this time, but I'm kind of using this as a dry run for ennoblement as well, because then when I go to do that, I know exactly what I need to do. We can just blitz through that one. Getting even, with Sophia finding out about Doris Otten being in town and her wanting to basically ruin his life, I'm going to ask her to explain herself and obviously help her in the process. So that's going to bump me up to maximum relation with Sophia. Doris Otten's going to be dishonoured, and it puts my spy network back on a nice round 10. No bad things there at all. The hard goodbye, with Sophia going away for a while. Our last moments together, I am going to, I guess, confess my love for her. I guess growing close to her isn't a bad thing. Feels kind of scummy on my part, but hey, we are scummed to the gills this time, so why the hell not? I'm going to end up betraying you, but yes, for now, in this moment, I love you. The Legion in the city. So even though the unrest isn't actually too bad at the moment, the noble people are still getting a little bit uncomfortable with the state of things, so the Legion have come to the city to try and restore order. The only option I have is to incite the common people against them, which actually works out perfectly because that puts unrest 5 and spy network down to 9, which is okay. So I've now got quite a nice little bit of breathing room with unrest, which is good. An urgent deal. Father Lennart has come along and he wants us to help distribute pamphlets to get a crowd of New Believer patrons down to Anazot for the anniversary of Patriarch Photis' death. And I actually don't know what the best decision to do here is, because either way is kind of bad for some things. So if I fulfill his request, it's bad for Spy Network because that puts that too low. Also, that's bad for my reputation, so nope. If I report Lennart to Felipe, that's also bad for my reputation. That decision's been made for me. This is definitely the one I was leaning towards, so it's kind of worked out okay. So if I contact the Inquisition, then Unrest goes down to 4, Spy Network goes down to 8, and reputation goes up to 9. So good for reputation, and okay for Unrest and Spy Network, but still puts me in a bit of an uncomfortable position, especially with Spy Network. Hopefully this will be alright and I can rebalance things a little bit later. You report Father Lennart's plan to the Inquisition. Oh, they are going to love this. Yes, you tell him. Of course your print shop will accept Father Lennart's order. As soon as the abbot blesses you with the sign of the twins and leaves, you pull out a blank sheet of paper and write a letter to the Inquisition. You describe today's encounter and the abbot's strange request, noting that his activities clearly go beyond matters of religion. Father Lennart holds too many people under his sway. If he's allowed to deliver his sermon, it could spark unrest of immense proportions. After all, new believers who reject the lot of Isatius might seek to reach the peak through a violent struggle against the church. Once the letter's done, you tell a leader to bring it to the Inquisition ward. The next morning, a woman appears in the doorway of the print shop, clothed in a black cassock and bearing the telltale silver seal of the Inquisition. Her face seems somehow familiar. Are you Nicholas Brante? I'm Inquisitor Jean. Perhaps you remember me. We met long ago, when we were just children, by the temple at the Silver Tree. I still remember our encounter, although you've changed so much since then. But I digress. I'm here for a reason. I've read your letter. You invite her in to continue the conversation. The Inquisitor refuses. I won't stay long. Frankly, I've just come here to thank you on behalf of the Order. We've long suspected Lennart of fomenting discord among the flock. Your report has helped us greatly. You say you're happy to help the protectors of the faith, but what will happen to Lennart now? Jen reacts to your question with a wry smile. Oh, he'll face the Inquisition tribunal. The heretic will likely remain an abbot, I'm afraid, but he will be forbidden to preach in Margra forever. Never again will his sermons lead souls from the path of the true faith. You deserve much of the credit for this, Niklaus. The new believers grow desperate. Fear and confusion spread among them. It will be a long time before they begin to recover from such a devastating blow. Unfortunately, the last straw did not benefit from this incident, but a month later, in casual conversation with Stefan, you hear that the nobility of Anazots now count the Brontes among the most zealous followers of the Old Faith. This must be the work of Inquisitor Jean. A dangerous haul. Father Fuad's come into the print shop and said, "Oi, Niklas, we found a shipment you're probably going to want to have a look at." And turns out to be a shipment of rifles. So I'm going to report this to Felipe. You give him the crate of guns and track down the men who smuggled it into the city. And so this is going to put Unrest back down to 3, Spy Network back up to 9, Mayor Egmont's going to get arrested, and Felipe is going to be... well, Felipe's maxed out already, so Felipe won't do nothing. You instruct the leader and Fuad to start looking for the men who tried to smuggle the guns into the city. They are to tell no one else about their discovery. You'll dispose of the crate on your own. You don't think it might come in handy? It's too dangerous to own guns nowadays, you explain. They're more trouble than they're worth. Right now, you need moss. Fuad and Alida nod knowingly and hurry away. Oliver and his goons arrive half an hour later. He whistles in surprise when he spies the guns. "Oh, yikes, Brante. I don't even know if this is good news or bad." You tell him to take the crate straight to Sir Philippe, along with a note. The guns came from Mayor Egmont's. The last straw is already looking for the men who brought them here. You promise to bring the advisor proof, as well as living witnesses, by dawn. That should be enough evidence for the Baron to get rid of his old nemesis. "Will do, boss." The next morning, sand scrapes beneath your heels. The shade from the trees in the city garden provide barely any respite from the beating sun. There's no one here. Sir Philippe awaits you on a little bench at the far end of the garden. The advisor is surrounded by a flock of birds. Muttering softly, Philippe feeds them tiny scraps of bread from a small loaf. You take a seat next to him. When Philippe finally speaks to you, you're surprised to hear sincere, friendly warmth in his voice. "You know, Niklas, life has taught me an important lesson. When somebody does their job and does it well, that's worthy of respect. You were actually useful today. I don't say that often." You thank Sir Philippe for the high praise. "We own Egmont now, head to toe. I interrogated him myself. When he realised what we were accusing him of, he didn't even try to hide it. He gave up all his men the moment I pressed the issue. There were more wagons of guns coming into the city today. We stopped them all. They were coming straight from Illyria. Egmont was hoping to spark a violent uprising very soon, you see. He wanted to arm his miners and send them off to demand justice. This could have ruined all our plans, but you reacted just in time. I wish I could have dealt with him then and there, but we shouldn't provoke the lowly estate too early. I can wait. When the revolt of yours begins, he'll be among the first to hang. You've never seen Sir Elfellow so serene and calm. He rewards you once more with a heartfelt grin, then throws the bread on the ground and leaves. The birds in front of the bench tear into the loaf, ripping it to pieces as the sound of Philippe's cane fades away into the distance. You watch them uneasily. Mayor Egmont is a bold man, but smuggling guns into the city? This is too much, even for him. Someone must have put the old man up to it. Someone he would give his life for. And why was Philippe so calm about this? Has his success gone to his head, or does he know something you don't? Either way, you should stay on your guard. Okay, so Unrest needs to go back up now. The constant yo-yo of Unrest and Spy Network continues. Deathbed, we are going to share our strength with Mama. So it's going to knock my willpower down to 10, but worth it. Totally worth it. This could be a problem. So it's triggered the runaway bride, which is not good. Actually, this might be okay. So, Gloria's wedding day, just as she's about to get married, she runs away. Which is obviously classic Gloria. Okay, so what's this done? So, -1 with Stefan, that's fine. Gloria's gone forever, so who cares? Oh, Gloria, you dick! Gloria, you bastard. Note for next time. So I need to agree to her plan, and then when it comes to an argument further down the line, convince father to marry her off. That might work. It might have the same impact on stats, I'm not sure. But for now, I think she screwed us. Well, on the bright side, mother's alive, so in repentance I can get her to talk Nathan off the metaphorical ledge. God damn you, Gloria. So a family matter with 1 point off of reputation. One single solitary point. I hope you're happy, Gloria, wherever you are. Fine, we'll preserve the family then, I guess. Mutually beneficial collaboration. This is new. So Spy Network is above 8, and Felipe Elferro saw my loyalty. It's amazing the heights of power a man can ascend to without a title when he has all the resources of the Empire working for him. The more loyally you serve Felipe, the more authority he delegates to you. The spy network covering the entire city has achieved astonishing results. You appear to be an all-seeing prophet. Nothing and no one can escape your keen eye. It's intoxicating. Thanks to you, Felipe's power grows with every arrest, every conviction, every execution. The secret chancellery proves to the citizens and the overseer time and time again that Anazot is swarming of insurgents, and it's the only organisation that can protect the Empire from the renegades. Okay. This is good. This is good. This has gone well. Clean hands. Interesting. So, because Spy Network's above 8, Unrest is above 3. Felipe Elfera has seen my loyalty, and I've grown close to Sophia. You've been pacing your office for an hour, lost in thought. The pieces of the puzzle finally fit. Sophia managed to conceal her plan until the last moment, but after the incident with the firearms, everything came to light. Sophia made her decision after leaving the city. She assembled a unit of people who were loyal to her personally, chosen from among the Magran insurgency. Mayor Egmont helped her transport the firearms from Illyria to Anazot. The spies you sent to verify this confirms your deductions. Posing as refugees, Sophia's people are flocking to the city. It's evident that as soon as Felipe gives the word to proceed with the revolt, Sophia will transform it from a counterfeit rebellion into a genuine uprising. If this happens, the streets of Anazot will run red with blood. The firearms will grant Sophia's insurgents a decisive advantage, even against Archnean soldiers. You get up from your chair and gather your papers. Felipe is expecting you to deliver your report in person. You must not keep the advisor waiting. Oh no. I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to kill Sophia. You reveal Sophia's plan to Felipe and dispose of the out-of-control rebel together. Oh no. I should have seen this coming, but I didn't. You arrive at Felipe's mansion. A servant escorts you to the advisor's study. Felipe is flipping through some documents. He looks up at you. Greetings, Niklaus. Sit down. A glass of wine? I don't think such a tiny sin will outweigh your good deeds in the eye of the twins. Felipe snaps his fingers. A servant pours you a glass of thick red wine. You thank the advisor and take a sip of the noble drink. So, what have you learned about our dear Sophia? As the day of the revolt draws near, I am growing more and more concerned about her behaviour. She is about to return to Anazot. What should I expect from her? You reply that Sir Felipe's apprehensions are well-founded. Then you tell him everything you know about Sophia's plans. The advisor listens to you intently. You can tell that he's tired and slightly annoyed. When you're done with your reports, he takes another sip of wine. The ungrateful pile of trash. Well, that was to be expected. It's a good thing you found out about this now. The Overseer has almost made up his mind to grant me special authority. We will start preparing our little revolt very soon. So, Niklaus, it's time to quietly dispose of her. You've managed to gain her trust, you say. Will you be able to eliminate her? You nod and assure the advisor that you are the only person who can get close enough to Sophia. Felipe pulls out a piece of paper from a drawer in his desk. It takes him less than a minute to draw up and sign Sophia's death warrant. Don't let her get away, Niklaus. May the younger guide you. It's night time. The print shop is empty. You sit by a lit candle awaiting Sophia's arrival. The door creaks. You can barely discern the smouldering embers of her pipe in the darkness. Her languid footsteps approach. The glow of the candlelight falls across Sophia's face. Hey there, Niklaus. You greet her and take a step forward. Sophia glances at the misericord, her farewell gift. So you still got it on you. That's great. I miss you so much. Sophia steps closer. There's a shy smile on her face. She reaches out to embrace you. You strike her on the temple with the hilt of the dagger. Why not just stab her? Get it over with quick. You tie Sophia to a chair and wait for her to regain consciousness. The criminal cannot be executed until they have heard their death sentence. That makes more sense. Sophia recovers quickly. She looks up at you slowly, still not quite grasping what has happened. What's going on, Niklaus? You... She notices the misericord in your hands. Sophia falls silent. For a moment, you see tears glimmering in her eyes. Her lips quiver like those of a hurt child. But another moment passes, and she pulls herself together enough to muster a bitter smirk. Stupid girl. Well, what are you waiting for, you imperial lapdog? Do it. You read the sentence aloud. In the name of the younger, the secret chancellery hereby condemns Sophia to true death for crimes against the Empire. You stab Sophia hard in the chest with the dagger. The divine power of the law guides your hand. The blade hits the rebel between the ribs and sinks down to the hilt. "Rot in your cage forever." The sentence has been carried out. The candlelight flickers in Sophia's glassy eyes. Oh man! Glory to the Empire. Sophia is dead. There is no one else capable of thwarting Philippe's plans. After several days of agonising suspense, you finally receive a short note. It's time. Day 1. Preparations. Messengers, letters, couriers, you need to get them all together. Strangers come to you and give you passwords. They ask for instructions, but usually they ask for money they can use to bribe, negotiate, and pressure. Pamphlets, slogans, lists, plans, notes, maps, somber faces, men, women, elderly people, adolescents. What an enormous number of people you've recruited over the years. You have to remember to relate everything to Felipe. You can barely stay awake. Day 2. Instructions. The rebellion needs to be spectacular. Plenty of running around, shouting and breaking windows, bloody brawls, a few flashy fires. The key is not to overdo it. The whole affair should take 3 or 4 hours, no more. The riot has to be easy to put down. What you need is a crowd. Ringleaders like a leader and Fuad should march in the front, accompanied by smaller groups. They'll wear headbands so they can be identified as Philippe's men. Those two actually believe that, as leaders of the revolt, they're supposed to wear the red headbands so the other conspirators can effortlessly spot them in the crowd. How stupid can you get? When inspiring other people to rebel, you sometimes get carried away and find yourself believing in your own words about liberty and freedom from the lots. But during your rare moments of solitude, you have to suppress the inappropriate pricks of conscience brought on by your own hypocrisy. It's okay. It's not that hard. Day 3. The Revolt. Felipe accused Mayor Egmont of treason against the Empire. The penalty is true death. The dead body of the man who presided over the Lesser Quorum and did so much to help the people of Margra now dangles in front of the Chancery. The time has come. The news of Egmont's death is the spark that starts the fire. The last straw begins to march. Smoke is rising over the city. The crowd is raiding noble houses and temples of the Old Faith. The last straw is getting ready to assault the Chancery. A special squad is about to attack the city arsenal. Everything is going according to plan. You're amazed to see how smoothly this performance is playing out. Horrified by the angry mob, the nobles hide in their luxurious mansions. The clergymen of the Old Faith lock the doors of their temples to keep the heretics out. The lowly lowborn subjects of the Emperor flee, fearing their own neighbours. They need not worry, however. The curtain is about to fall. The square in front of the Chancery. The rebels are celebrating their victory. In a moment, the banner of the revolt will fly. But the cries of joy are drowned out by the clattering hooves and clanking armour. The noble militia, Anazot's finest warriors, enter the square. The people panic. They push and shove. There are futile efforts at resistance. The steel fist of nobility nips the revolt in the bud. The armoury, the sources of the weapons the insurgents so desperately needed, turns out to be empty. The battalions of the city garrison cut off the last straw's escape route. The rampaging crowds that once looked so threatening now scatter under the very first blows from the gendarmes. There's no one to lead the rebels, no one to encourage them to resist. The determination of these people accustomed to a life of obedience vanishes in the blink of an eye. By the time the sun sets, silence reigns in the city. But this is not the end. Day 4. El Ferro strikes. The last straw is sent to the dungeons. Expert torturers from the capital extract all the necessary confessions from them. Felipe makes his move. The advisor lances all the Empire's boils one by one. The Lesser Quorum goes down first. Their connection to the last straw is enough for the upstart merchants to be hanged as traitors. With the Lesser Quorum gone, there will be no more need to humour the lowborn. Ever. The New Faith. The cancer that has spread throughout this city is next. Not even the Silver Tree could cleanse its venom from Margra. But Felipe can. Lennart will be hanged for fomenting the rebellion. Margra doesn't need another Fotis. Any clergyman who dares to object will follow his pastor to the gallows. The last strike Felipe delivers is directed at his long-time enemy, Augustine Elborn, a criminal who has betrayed his noble lot. His laws have put the Empire in jeopardy, and he no longer has the faith of the people or the Overseer. Now demoted to a simple judge by Gaius Tempest and stripped of the nobility of the sword, he can harm the Empire no more. The enemies of the Empire have been captured and defamed. It's time for the trial. The last day. Execution. A fresh breeze in your face. There's nothing more precious under the merciless Margaret sun. The view from the rooftop of a house near the Chancellery is magnificent. From this spot, the teeming crowd looks like a river flooding the streets. The square is not big enough to accommodate everyone who's come to watch. The citizens of Anazot are here to see the execution of the insurgents. All the instigators of the revolt are lined up on a long scaffold. Nooses swing heavily in the wind before them. Abbot Lennart, whose pristine white cassock has been replaced by a filthy prison garb, fragile Alida, and frail Fuad, who still cannot believe this is really happening. Many, many people who devoted their lives to this pointless rebellion. Philippe's voice rouses you from your contemplation. Is the Overseer waiting for the entire province to show up? It's time to finish this, the heat is unbearable. An old Archnean, Gaius Tempest, the Emperor's Overseer in Margra, walks up the stairs to the Chancellery and faces the crowd. The people fall silent. Even Baron El Ferro lowers his voice to a whisper. Guess he's finally satisfied with the size of the audience. Gaius Tempest addresses the crowd in a rich baritone. The people devour his every word. I am the protector of my subjects, and I always will be. I have never been a butcher or a tyrant. In keeping with the teachings of the twins and Isatius, it is my lot to be ruler and warrior. And, as a warrior, I must fight our enemies. The people who were convicted today chose to rebel against me. They chose to rebel against the Emperor. They chose to rebel against everything the Empire stands for. But the Empire has loyal defenders who can discern the darkest of plots. They captured these insurgents and heretics and thwarted their murderous, meaningless riot. Today, I thank them for their service. The Overseer pauses. Nobility is one thing, but he's not above using fear. Margra's in good hands now, Niklaus. You nod. The punishment for these traitors against the Empire is true death by hanging. May the sentence be carried out before the gaze of the younger. The executioner pulls the lever. The trapdoor swings open. The prisoners plummet through the floor and dangle, suspended in midair by the nooses. You hear their necks snap. The insurgents are on their way to the foot of the pillar. The crowd applauds obediently. Everything is as it should be. Oh, that was a fine execution. What a relief, eh, Brante? By the way, I have something for you. The advisor reaches into an inner pocket and pulls out 2 documents. He immediately gives you one of them. This is an official pardon for the crimes you committed in Eterna. You are now a free man. Use your new life wisely. Glance at the other document. And what's this? Philippe grins. This is an order giving you a job at the secret chancellery, Niklaus. You see, I'm getting older. I need a successor. Someone loyal but smart. Someone who isn't afraid of blood and difficult decisions. Someone who knows how to achieve his goals. Someone who understands the great burden we bear. You shook my hand once and it paid off. What do you say now? Philippe offers you his hand. You shake it without a moment's hesitation. I am pleased to welcome you to the service, Niklaus Brante. With defenders like you, the Empire will stand for all eternity. Wow. Egmont dead, Lennart dead. I got a new job. Oh yes, achievement! It's a horrible achievement. Did not warrant that celebration whatsoever, but it's good. I'm pleased that's how I got that achievement. What a hideous, hideous playthrough this has been. Outcome of the revolt. Sir Philippe's plan succeeded without a hitch, all thanks to you. The masterfully manipulated rebellion was quashed as swiftly as it began. You and your patron cleansed the city overnight, eliminating all the rebel leaders who posed a threat to peace and prosperity in the Empire. The other rebels were pardoned by the Overseer at Philippe's personal request. After his swift victory over the rebellion, Gaius Tempest's authority grew stronger. Now that his subjects had been pacified, the eminent gentry and the Archduke's sympathisers no longer had a chance to stop him from ruling Margra as he saw fit. Once the rebellion had been silenced, the province finally entered an age of peace. And yet, the Overseer learned much from the lessons of the Anazot revolt. He realised he had no choice but to address the woes of the lowly estate, lest further turmoil sweep across the land. Gaius Tempest took advantage of his growing power and finally began his first, careful reforms. The nobles' privileges remained unchanged, but, little by little, the common estate came to enjoy new protections under his rule. In time, the rest of the Empire came to the same conclusion. The order established by the twins must remain unchanged. But if the realm wished to enjoy prosperity and peace, then everyone, from lowly commoner to highborn Archnean, must be protected equally by the strong arm of the law. For the first time in centuries, there was change, albeit gradual change guided by eminent nobles and the royal Tempest dynasty in their stern wisdom. Let's see what everyone's up to. What became of Felipe El Ferro? His years of hard work in Anazot finally helped Sir Felipe El Ferro attain his lifelong goal. With the most recent insurgency swiftly quelled, he had the authority he needed to rise in rank and become the head of the secret chancellery. Felipe came to wield immense power, and he used it to stamp out all unrest and heresy in the realm. He remained a bulwark of law and order with the blessed Archnean Empire and lived to a ripe old age. When the end came, the secretive official departed to the twins' final judgment without fear, confident that they would reward him for all his hard work. I'm pretty sure he got sent to the foot of the pillar, which is precisely where I'm going to go. Well, we know what happened to Sophia, but I'm intrigued to see what this says. The hardships of Sophia's life forged her into a ruthless killer desperate to annihilate the Empire. You could not allow Sophia to live. For the good of the nation, she had to die. You can only hope that her rebellious soul has come to see the extent of her flawed vision as she faces the judgment of the twins. Once the revolt was suppressed, your family returned to their old life very quickly. With Philippe's plan finally fulfilled, you had the freedom to tell your family about the secrets you'd been keeping from them ever since your return from the capital. Thanks to the power and authority you now wield, the Brante family will be prosperous for all time. Your family survived every ordeal and finally found peace. Apart from Gloria, who ran away somewhere. Robert. Your confession rendered Father speechless at first. You spent 8 years working for the secret chancellery, and you kept it from him the entire time. But after cooling off and considering your situation, he eventually came to terms with your decision and accepted it. Once the unrest in Anazot was quelled, Robert Brante resumed his duties at the prefecture. Your father always sought to alleviate the burden of the common estate and establish justice for all. Overseer Gaius Tempest gradually came to share his views, and in time, your father became one of his most ardent supporters. After a lifetime spent diligently working to transform his home province, Sir Robert Bronte died a quiet death in peace and dignity, knowing he had not lived in vain. He will be remembered forever as a protector of the common people's rights and a judge of impeccable honour. Lydia. Lydia Bronte always believed in the ways of the Empire and the Old Faith. It was this very faith that helped her survive every trial the family had to face during those fateful days. When it was finally over, Lydia lived to a ripe old age in peace and quiet with Robert, her faithful husband. For the rest of her days, your mother took pride in your great deeds and supported you every step of the way. When the end came, Lydia departed to the twins' final judgment without fear. Stefan. Stefan accepted your newfound calling with grudging respect. You didn't choose it of your own volition, but were instead forced to aid Sir Philippe in his dubious undertakings. But it still brought you considerable power and respect. Your elder brother had no choice but to reckon with this. Once the days of the revolt were past and Stefan was confident that the family's well-being was all but assured, he dedicated himself to his own present and future. Your elder brother cast aside his old unrequited love for Maria El Velasco, who had been married away long ago. In time, he managed to secure a successful marriage with another noblewoman of the sword, albeit one of less eminent birth. After the wedding, Stefan and his wife moved to her family's estate, but he never lost touch with the Brontes and dedicated himself to improving the family's reputation and continuing its legacy. Stefan El Bronte was remembered by those around him as an honest and honourable nobleman. Gloria. After that unforgettable quarrel at the Bronte home, Gloria left Anazot to travel the Empire. She hoped to see the life of the common folk firsthand and transcribe the truth in her travel notes. The news of the revolt back in Anazot reached Gloria during her trip through the province of Illyria. She seized the opportunity right away and sparked an uprising against the crown among the local commoners. Oh god, yeah, we've seen this before. It doesn't end well for her. However, the province's noble militia swiftly suppressed the riots. Gloria was captured and sentenced to hard labour in the mines for life. But not even hard labour could stop Gloria. She did her best to inspire the fellow prisoners to rise up against their captors. But rather than share her fervour, the other labourers turned her in, hoping for a reduced sentence. Gloria fought tooth and nail against the old ways, but she didn't live long enough to see whether or not her efforts ever bore fruit. Instead, she met a swift and ignoble end. Nathan. Your younger brother survived the revolt. When it passed, he found the strength to start his life anew. You had given him a glimmer of hope that he nurtured within his soul, and it helped him to accept the common lot as his path to the peak of the pillar. He dedicated the rest of his life to prayer, toil, and humility. The suffering he had endured in his spiritual quest became the foundation of his faith. When the end came, Nathan departed to the twins' final judgment without fear. Oh, sweet little Nathan. Gregor Ngawe. What became of me? Peace and order have returned to Anazot, all thanks to you. For your service to the Empire, you're rewarded by Overseer Gaius Tempest at Sir Philippe's behest. You join the gentry as a nobleman of the sword and receive a palatial estate near Anazot. Despite your humble origins, you have soared to the top. Later, after many more years of loyal service to Felipe Elferro, you come to lead the Secret Chancellery in his stead. Your place is now in the Imperial capital, attending to matters of the utmost secrecy and importance. For the rest of your life, you remain an unseen but powerful figure in the Empire. You bear a heavy burden, but you bear it proudly and scoff at the temptations of glory and fame, ending plots before they begin, suppressing riots, quelling unrest, maintaining order throughout the land, helping the Empire to flourish. These are your contributions. Until your final death, very few people ever know the true extent of your power and the authority you wielded in your life. You are remembered as the saviour of Anazot in the face of a great rebellion, and a man with a most peculiar destiny. So ends the life of suffering of Sir Nicolaus Brante. You know, all things considered, that was not bad. I mean, I'm still going to the foot of the pillar, like, without doubt, but I have no regrets doing it. So there we have it. I think that the next video is potentially going to be the very last Sir Brante video, and I say that because I didn't get the Farewell Advisor achievement this time. I'm assuming that that is getting pardons but not getting the job at the Secret Chancellery. Maybe. So I guess perhaps I get that from getting everything for the Felipe ending but not growing close to Sophia, because obviously that event was triggered because I had all of those things. So I'll go through and not come close to Sophia. I also need to get the Master of Anazot, which is freedom at the hands of Remiel Vermin, and have my family save me. And also there's this hidden achievement. So the next video is going to be one of those videos that takes me ages to record, but is not as long as the recording, because there's going to be a lot of run-throughs, but I'll cut a lot out. I'll just include the key moments. So we're going to skip over a lot next time. It's going to be definitely more of a highlight than a playthrough. But that should tick off those 3 achievements and the hidden achievement. From Birth Till Death, I don't think I'm going to do a video on, because it's literally just playing through the entire game, I think, using the Iron Man mode, and there's no point. There's like 29 other videos on this playlist that have that playthrough, so I don't need to include another one. So yes, the next one is going to be our final goodbye to the life and suffering of Sir Brante, which is going to be quite sad. So it'll probably be a couple of days before the new video comes out, because it's going to take me a little while to record and put together, but keep your eyes peeled for that. As horrible as this playthrough's been, story-wise, it's actually been quite enjoyable. It's been a really interesting one. And it was interesting that it didn't even get to the Revolt. Obviously, it made perfect sense that it didn't even get to the Revolt, but it was different, and I like that. I really like that, actually. So it was brutal, but it was good. So until next time, if you want to check this out for yourself, then the link to the game page is in the description. If there's anything that I haven't done, or you think I've missed and you want to see, then let me know, because your time is running out. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, then why don't you go ahead and the like button, the Secret Chancellery stooge that is the subscribe button. Make sure you that bad boy. And until next time, love you, bye.